I think you're going to see gradual price increases as early as this week because you've got not only that shortage on the supply side implied by those weather events in Brazil, you've also got increasing wages.
Welcome back to the Midweek Exchange. I'm Natalie Nanowski, and I'm joined by Brett House, as always. He's Scotiabank's Deputy Chief Economist, and he's going to break down those big economic issues that could have an impact on your daily life. Hey, Brett, it's been a while.
Good to see you again, Natalie.
Good to see you too. So I was grabbing my coffee this morning and I took a look, and the price of coffee beans has jumped about 50% in the last 12 months. So break it down for us. What is going on with supply, with production, and is our daily cup of joe going to get more expensive?
Well, there are a few things happening that contributed to the sticker shock you had this morning. And the most immediate thing has been a really big shift on the supply side, where Brazil, one of the largest producers in the world, has experienced two shocks to production. First off, they've had a drought, which has been the worst that they've seen in about 100 years. And secondly, probably another byproduct of climate change, they've had one of the coldest southern winters in 25 years. They had snow recently. That looks like it's going to knock out about a third of the consumption of coffee that the United States takes in a given year. You've seen futures on coffee go up as a result.
Oh, wow. So when can we expect our cup of coffee to become more expensive? Is that already happening in cafes?
I think you're going to see gradual price increases from, as early as this week onward through the next few months, because you've got not only that shortage on the supply side, you've also got increasing wages as cafes and coffee shops try to get workers back into a sector that's been shut down in some respects.
All right, now moving over to another big story this week. After 17 months, Canada has reopened its border, allowing vaccinated Americans to come and visit. What is this going to mean for businesses in those big tourist centers?
Tourism as a whole accounts for about 2% of the Canadian economy, or around $50 billion a year. So it's not the decisive slice of Canadian production that will determine whether we have, as a country, a great year ahead or a mediocre recovery from the pandemic. But it has a much bigger impact in border towns, other areas that traditionally see a lot of foreign visitors. We've talked before about how some service sectors like accommodation, tourism, hospitality have been relatively slow to open up and recover because they're not well suited to physical distancing. And so a new source of potential customers is going to have a huge impact on those local economies and on those sectors.
All right, so coming up in the next week, what should we be watching for when it comes to our favorite cup of coffee and for tourism in the country?
Well, yeah, there's a bigger question that is lying over all of the discussions in macroeconomics right now, and that is around inflation. And coffee and tourism are part of that. We're looking at, goods prices going up and the extent to which services prices are going to start rebounding as those sectors that have been closed reopen. We get US inflation numbers, and they're going to be a real harbinger of how this debate between, is inflation a transitory phenomenon, or is it translating into longer term, stickier price increases going to settle out? And that has a big implication for where interest rates go over the next 18 months and when central banks in Canada and the US begin raising policy rates.
Definitely an interesting thing to watch for. Thanks so much, Brett.
Good to talk with you again.
All right, we'll have more Midweek Exchange coming up next week.